Alright, baseball fans. Few topics in the history of Major League Baseball have sparked as much debate and controversy for as long as the permanent ban of Pete Rose. Rose, baseball's all-time career hits leader, was banned from the sport in 1989 for betting on games. And that ban has prevented him from being considered for the Hall of Fame. Even after his death in September of 2024, the debate about his legacy and whether his ban should ever be lifted has continued. Now, in a surprising development, the current commissioner of Major League Baseball has revealed that this long-standing controversy was recently a topic of discussion at the highest levels of government. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred revealed on Monday, speaking at a meeting of the Associated Press sports editors, that he recently met with President Donald Trump, and that Pete Rose was one of the topics they discussed. Manfred stated that the meeting with President Trump took place about 2 weeks prior. Regarding the discussion about Pete Rose, Manfred was somewhat guarded about the specifics of the conversation. He said, "I met with President Trump 2 weeks ago. I guess now. And one of the topics was Pete Rose. But I'm not going beyond that." He indicated he wouldn't detail the back and forth between himself and the president on the matter, referencing that President Trump has publicly stated his own position on Rose. Indeed, President Trump has previously commented publicly on the Pete Rose situation. In February, President Trump posted on social media, specifically on Truth Social, that he planned to issue a complete pardon of Pete Rose. He stated that while Rose shouldn't have been gambling on baseball, he only bet on his team winning. At the time, President Trump said he would sign a pardon for Rose over the next few weeks, although he has not publicly addressed the matter since. It's also unclear what exactly a presidential pardon might include or impact in this context, particularly concerning Rose's 1990 guilty plea for filing false tax returns, for which he served a prison sentence. Nevertheless, President Trump has clearly staked out a public position supporting Rose, beyond just discussing Rose with the president. Commissioner Manfred also revealed another significant development regarding Rose's status. He plans to issue a formal ruling on a request to end the sport's permanent ban of Pete Rose. A petition was filed in January of this year by Jeffrey Lenkov, a Southern California lawyer who had represented Rose prior to his death. This petition is seeking to have Rose posthumously removed from MLB's permanently ineligible list, primarily so that he can be considered for election to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Manfred addressed the complexity of making a ruling on Rose's reinstatement, calling it a little more complicated than it might appear on the outside. While he didn't commit to an exact timeline for when he would issue his ruling, he stated, "I want to get it done promptly as soon as we get the work done." He made an explicit promise, saying, "I'm not going to give this the pocket veto. I will in fact issue a ruling." This commitment from Manfred means that after years of debate and past applications for reinstatement, which were either not ruled on or denied, a formal decision on Rose's posthumous status is forthcoming from the commissioner's office. For Pete Rose, who died last September at the age of 83, being removed from the permanently ineligible list is the crucial first step towards any potential Hall of Fame consideration. Under a rule adopted by the Hall's Board of Directors in 1991, anyone on MLB's permanently ineligible list cannot be considered for election to the Hall of Fame. Rose had applied for reinstatement in the past, meeting with Commissioner Bud Selig in 2002, who never ruled, and having his application denied by Commissioner Manfred in 2015. Even if reinstated, it's important to note that Rose would not automatically appear on a Hall of Fame ballot. He would first need to be nominated by the Hall's Historical Overview Committee and potentially be eligible for consideration by the 16-member Classic Baseball Era Committee, which next meets in December 2027. Manfred, as an ex officio member of the Hall's board, confirmed he has been in regular contact with the Hall chairman on this matter, noting there's a lot of Hall of Fame dialogue on this one. Commissioner Manfred also commented on other topics he discussed with President Trump during their meeting. He mentioned discussing concerns over President Trump's immigration policies and their potential impact on foreign-born players, particularly those from countries like Cuba and Venezuela. Manfred stated he expressed worry about ingress and egress for players and noted that the administration is very interested in sports, and understands the unique need to be able to go back and forth for players. Regarding baseball's current ties to legal sports betting, Manfred said he doesn't believe this should change views on Rose's case. He reiterated that there has always been a clear line between what ordinary citizens can do and what MLB personnel can do regarding gambling, emphasizing that playing in Major League Baseball is a privilege with responsibilities, including not betting on the game, regardless of the league's sponsorships or data deals with sports betting enterprises. In conclusion, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred's revelation that he recently discussed Pete Rose with President Donald Trump, coupled with his commitment to issue a formal ruling on the posthumous reinstatement petition, adds a significant new chapter to the complex, decades-old debate surrounding Pete Rose's ban and his Hall of Fame future. While the specifics of the discussion with the president remain private, Manfred's promise to rule on the matter signals that a decision is imminent, keeping the conversation about Rose's legacy, his ban for betting on baseball, and the possibility of his eventual Hall of Fame consideration very much alive. Alright, a significant development regarding the long-standing ban of baseball legend Pete Rose. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred announced on Monday that he recently discussed Pete Rose's status with President Donald Trump. Speaking at a meeting of the Associated Press sports editors, Manfred confirmed that his meeting with President Trump happened about 2 weeks ago. Around mid-April, Manfred stated that Pete Rose was indeed one of the topics that came up in their conversation. However, Manfred declined to provide specific details about the back and forth, referencing President Trump's prior public statements on the matter. This discussion comes as Commissioner Manfred is currently considering a formal request to have Pete Rose posthumously removed from Major League Baseball's permanently ineligible list. Pete Rose, the career hits leader and a towering figure in baseball history, passed away in September of 2024 at the age of 83. A petition seeking his reinstatement was filed in January of this year. President Trump had publicly weighed in on Rose's situation back on February 28, posting on social media about his plan to issue a complete pardon of Pete Rose. Trump's post noted that while Rose shouldn't have gambled on baseball, he only bet on his own team to win. The extent to which a presidential pardon could impact MLB's private ban, or even Rose's past tax conviction, remains unclear. Pete Rose was permanently banned from baseball in 1989 following an investigation that found he bet on baseball games while he was managing and playing for the Cincinnati Reds. The primary reason for seeking reinstatement is to make Rose eligible for consideration for the National Baseball Hall of Fame, as current rules prevent anyone on the ineligible list from being elected. Rose had applied for reinstatement multiple times in the past under different commissioners, including Manfred, but was unsuccessful. Commissioner Manfred stated Monday that he will issue a ruling on the current petition, saying he's not going to give this the pocket veto. However, he did note that reinstating Rose is a little more complicated than it might appear on the outside. He did not give a firm timeline for his decision, only stating that he wants to get the necessary work done and issue a ruling promptly. Manfred also mentioned that even if Rose is reinstated, he would still need to go through a separate process to be considered for a Hall of Fame ballot, potentially by the Classic Baseball Era Committee, with the next opportunity for that committee being in December 2027. Manfred also confirmed he discussed other topics with President Trump, including expressing concerns about immigration policies potentially impacting foreign-born players in Major League Baseball. Ultimately, a decision on Pete Rose's permanent ban is expected from Commissioner Manfred. This upcoming ruling, and the fact that Rose's status was even a topic of discussion between the commissioner and the president, underscores the enduring significance and complexity of Pete Rose's legacy in the sport.